Good evening and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of January 10, 2019. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, the Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Faramasca.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli is away.
At this time, I'd ask all to rise who can and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if we could all stand as we now address the community with our prayer. Mr. Gallagher, would you lead us in the prayer?
Thank you, John. Almighty God, we ask you to bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
At this point in our meeting, we'd like to open it to the public. If there's a member of the public who'd like to address the Township Committee at this time, please come to the podium, state your name and address.
I was waiting for you to.
Okay. Seeing that no member of the public has decided to address the committee at this time, may I get a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, as we continue, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular minutes of December 20th and the reorganization meeting of January 3rd, 2019. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion?
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Deputy Mayor,
Aye.
if I could just make one comment. I'd just like to note that so many municipalities struggle to get their minutes out, within, sometimes they're behind months. But in Hanover Township, this meeting took place 7 days ago from the reorganization meeting, and they're available to the public and they're completed timely, notwithstanding any other tasks that the administration has. And I just note that because you don't always hear that. Some towns really struggle with this, and that's really commendable.
Recognizing that the Township Committee is committed to transparency and makes every effort, and we appreciate our staff in supporting that effort to turn around the minutes and make them public as soon as possible, and they're published and they're accessible on our website.
Well, special thanks to Krista, who prepares them. They go to Kathy Iacuzzi, the Deputy Clerk, for review and checking, and then we get them out to the Township Committee and available to the public.
Significant effort, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good. As we continue, we have the following departmental reports available for public inspection. They include the report of the construction official on all activities conducted during the month of November. We have the Township's CFO Treasurer's report on all revenues collected as of January the 8th, 2019. And the final report is the report of the Township Engineer, the status report on all capital projects to date. And as we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we have one ordinance for introduction this evening. It's docketed as ordinance number 1-2019. It's an ordinance of the Township Committee establishing the salaries of the full-time employees in the Public Works, Buildings and Grounds, and Park Maintenance Department as represented by IBT Local 97 for calendar year 2019. This ordinance will be further considered for a public hearing and final passage at the Township Committee meeting on February 14th at 8 o'clock in the evening. And at that time, anyone present will be given an opportunity to be heard. The Administrative Clerk is further authorized and directed to advertise the ordinance in full with the notice of introduction in the Daily Record in accordance with law. May we now have a motion for introduction?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Gallagher, second by Mr. Cahill. On roll call for introduction, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Mr. Farrar-Mosca.
Yes.
So introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, continuing, we have the resolutions as a consent agenda. If any members of the governing body have questions concerning the resolutions, this would be the time now to make comment. If not, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion by Mr. Cahill.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Farrar-Mosca.
Aye.
Thank you. We continue on the last page of the agenda, ladies and gentlemen. The payment of bills, $4,276,576.81 for approval. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Farrar-Mosca.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Farrar-Mosca.
Aye.
So approved. Also on consent agenda, raffle applications 3176 and 3177. Mars Catholic High School, a tricky tray, and also a 50-50 on-premise. May we have a motion for approval?
Move the approval. of
We
the
have a
raffle
motion by
application.
Mr. Farrar-Mosca,
Second?
second by Mr. Mahalko. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Farrar-Mosca.
Aye.
So approved, Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee. That clears the agenda of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giorgio, for completing the evening's records. At this time, we'd like to open up the meeting again to the public. If there's a member of the public here this evening who would like to come to the podium and address the Township Committee, now's your opportunity. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. At this time, in tradition, Township Committee, we would like to go over reports.
John, like we all discussed earlier today, we talked so much at the reorg. I think that I'll put it forward to pass on this section tonight.
Okay, all right?
We agree.
We agree. Okay. All in favor?
Nobody wants to hear us.
Yeah, I think, though, Mr. Cahill
I have
has
one,
a special statement that
okay.
he
One
would like
special statement.
to address for the committee.
I'm going to use all of your minutes if you don't mind.
There you go.
Go to town.
Go ahead.
So, just for everyone's information, yesterday was Law Enforcement Recognition, or Appreciation Day, I'm sorry. And in recognition of that, I want to express the committee's sincere thanks to the Hanover Township Police Department for the fine job they do protecting the citizens of and visitors to Hanover Township. So, great work by our police force. Very proud. I'm very lucky to be the liaison again to the department in 2019. So, thanks to everybody on the Hanover Township Police Department.
Well stated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this point, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Do you want an update?
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. Our attorney, Mrs. Samro, would you please give us an update on our affordable housing work
Yes.
that's been going on?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. As has been reported, the township, as almost every other community in Morris County, continues to work to come up with ways to satisfy their third-round affordable housing obligation. What that does is it gives the town the right to make its own zoning decisions going forward, as it's done in the past. For an example, when Lucent left the township had that affordable housing certification, and the township was able to make decisions to say, we don't want additional housing, we'd like to have another rateable, things like that. Fast forward to this point in time where, again, many municipalities are still before the courts. Some of our neighbors have had to settle affordable housing cases with literally hundreds of units, sometimes in the thousands. What Hanover has done is continue to work at a third-round plan. And part of that plan, the emphasis now is looking at two sites that are very close in proximity and would have potentially the least amount of impact on the community, but perhaps also the benefit of a rehabilitation or a revitalization. And one site is the Pine Plaza Shopping Center, that which the Township Committee, Administration, Planning, our office have looked at to see if there's a way to satisfy a component of affordable housing and at the same time have that shopping center redeveloped so it would be more accessible and revitalized for the future. So by taking that combination, it's something that we've been in extensive discussions with Pine Plaza and their owners, their contract purchasers, and those discussions have talked about very specifically a concern that the Township Committee has reiterated to the administration and planning for senior affordable housing. And that's been the discussion at that site, that if there was redevelopment on the Pine Plaza site, it would include affordable senior housing, which would give seniors the opportunity to rent at reduced or fixed type of rates and remain in Hanover Township. So that's what we've been talking about with Pine Plaza, and to reconfigure and revitalize that shopping center while doing so. And then next to Pine Plaza is the River Park site, which has, at this point, there's an approval for over 300,000 square feet of industrial flex buildings on the site, which over the years the township has been very reluctant to see that develop in a site in a way that it would just have an industrial use with truck traffic. That has been a very significant bone of contention, and the potential to really be in conflict with the residential community that's developed over the years since the paper mill of many years ago closed in the early 80s. So that's a site that the Township Committee has looked at to say, well, if there's an opportunity to develop that site with retail that might not be necessarily highway retail development that might be more accessible on a local level to the residents of Hanover, like restaurants and shops on a smaller scale, not big box type of development, and a residential component, that too may be something that would be a benefit to the community, and at the same time address an affordable housing obligation that would not, in a sense, turn into a sprawl of development throughout the community and other neighborhoods be impacted and things of that nature. It would be on sites that have not been developed, in the case of River Park, and one that also there's concerns that the discussions with River Park talk about the fact that there are slopes that are not owned by the township or River Park, but they're over by the Oak Ridge development that the county owns, that the county and the township and River Park have been in discussions that really needs to be addressed. That's a very significant issue, and as part of the discussions with River Park, the township has said that has to be addressed. We would want that property purchased by River Park and that condition remediated, which is a very significant cost and one which poses a long-term benefit to not only the township but to the adjacent neighbors of Oak Ridge. So the discussions have been along the lines to talk about development. Many of the units would, if there were any type of agreement reached with River Park, would be 1 and 2 bedroom units. We're not talking about, if they were residential homes where there'd be 4 or 5 bedrooms. We're talking about 1 or 2 bedroom units, but that would be in the context of not just a residential development. It would be in the context of a plan, a center for the township, which would include things that would be available to the public, which means either green, connectivity to the Pine Plaza site, to adjacent property owners, such as what would be the JCC facility, to walk to the sites because they would have that type of connectivity. So it's not just a discussion about residential development, it's a discussion about making sure that if there were any residential development, there would be consideration to have a center, not a business type center or an industrial center as it's approved for, but a retail center on a smaller scale with boutiques, restaurants, things of that nature, supplemented by a residential development. So that's where the discussion's been focused. You've certainly heard about other developments in other towns And they've settled just to make numbers, to say, here's our residential development and nothing else. And I think that the discussions have been, there's a site in the case of Pine Plaza that something needs to happen based on the present condition. And there's been efforts made by the township over the years through the economic development, through discussions with the representatives of Pine Plaza, but it's essentially almost vacant. And to say, okay, if there's revitalization, it may need a residential component, but not completely a residential component, only a certain share, but that may also have a great location for affordable senior units and the redevelopment of the Pine Plaza site. So I think the committee wanted me to just share where we are in the discussions, and the discussions are, if the township and these property owners can work out an agreement that's in the best interest of the township, one that would satisfy the township's housing obligation without going into other locations, and at the same time revitalize these two properties, it'd be a great opportunity to resolve an issue that all towns are facing and plan for the future as to what that site would look like and both of those sites, and at the same time, going forward, give the township the opportunity to continue to say yes or no to other developments over the next 7 or 8 years as the third round continues, to say, no, we're not interested in more development for residential or commercial, whatever it might be, but to really select or plan consistent with its master plan and not have a court or some developer come in and say, this is how we're going to plan. So that's where we are right now.
Thank you, Mr. Samrau. We can assure you, as members of the Township Committee, that the Township Committee has worked very closely with its professionals to pursue what we would call a win-win strategy for our town. Number one, to address the mandate, the affordable housing mandate, but importantly, number two, to do so in a manner that provides Hanover with an opportunity to redevelop two major blighted areas in our town, which are River Park and Pine Plaza. So we will continue to move along that path. At this time, what I'd like to do is ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your support.
Now.
Sal.
24 minutes.
Good man. We need more meetings like that.
24 minutes.
I think it is one of the records. Yes.
That's our focus. Our focus is major blighted.